Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I have a story that will make you think twice about the choices you make online. A story of easy money, hidden dangers, and a job that turned into something far more sinister. What started as a simple gig became a nightmare I couldn't escape. Some things aren't meant to be seen, and once you do, there's no way out. Sit back, listen closely, and remember, some jobs are too good to be true. College is supposed to be the time of your life, right? At least, that's what everyone says. Late-night study sessions, parties, the freedom to finally be your own person. But no one tells you how fast reality hits. Between school, work, and rent, I was drowning. My bank account was empty. My part-time job at the library barely covered rent, let alone groceries or textbooks. I needed money, fast. That's when I found it. A post on an obscure student forum. Easy money, no experience required. I almost ignored it. It screamed, too good to be true. But the comments below said otherwise. Legit, I've been doing it for months. Pays well, all remote. My heart skipped a beat. Maybe, just maybe, this was my way out. I clicked the link. The website was strange old school. Like something built in the early 2000s. Black background, red text, no flashy graphics, just a simple job listing. Looking for moderators for a private streaming platform. High pay, flexible hours, no experience needed, strong stomach recommended. A strong stomach? That was odd, but I had bills to pay. I clicked apply. The application was simple. Name, email, age, a checkbox confirming I was over 18. And then, one last question. Do you consent to seeing potentially disturbing content? That gave me pause, but it wasn't enough to make me back out. With a click, I submitted the form. An hour later, an email arrived. Subject: Welcome to the team. My stomach twisted. I should have stopped then. But I didn't, because $500 a day was too good to pass up. Asterisk. But I kept reading. Looking for moderators for private streaming platform. High pay, flexible hours, no experience required, strong stomach recommended. That last part should have made me stop. It didn't. My cursor hovered over the Apply Now button. I hesitated for only a moment before clicking. The page refreshed instantly, loading a simple form. Name, email, age, then a checkbox. I confirm I am over 18 and understand that the content may be disturbing. My finger hovered for a second. Disturbing? What did that mean exactly? But curiosity and desperation outweighed caution. I checked the box. A loading bar, then a confirmation page. Thank you for applying. If selected, you will receive an email shortly. I leaned back, rubbing my temples. That was it? No interview? No details? Just a promise of easy money? An hour later, my inbox dinged. Subject: Welcome to the team. I clicked it open. Your first shift starts tonight. 10 p.m. Login details attached. Do not share this information. My stomach twisted. It felt official, but also ominous. There were no instructions, no training, no explanation, just a username, a password, and a time. 10 p.m. I glanced at the time. 9:12 p.m. Less than an hour until I found out what exactly I had signed up for. Asterisk. The instructions were simple. Log in at 10 p.m. Watch the video feeds. Report anything unusual. No questions. No talking to others. Just watch. The first stream loaded. A dark, empty basement. A single chair in the center. A man sat in it, bound, a black cloth covering his face. The only movement was the slow rise and fall of his chest. He was breathing, waiting. A countdown ticked in the corner of the screen. 5 minutes, 10. Then, the door opened. 2 figures entered. They wore masks. Plain, featureless masks, no expressions. No identities, just blank, emotionless faces staring at the man in the chair. One of them held a crowbar. The masked figure stepped forward, gripping the crowbar tightly. The other figure remained by the door, motionless, watching. The man in the chair tensed, his breath hitching. Though he didn't speak, maybe he knew it wouldn't matter. Maybe he had already pleaded enough. The sound of metal hitting flesh echoed in my headphones, a sickening, heavy thud that made my stomach turn. The man jerked in his restraints, his muffled cries swallowed by the fabric over his face. The second figure stepped closer now, as if evaluating, waiting for their turn. I wanted to look away. I couldn't. My job was to type a report. Man tied to chair, 2 masked individuals, possible kidnapping or interrogation. I hit submit. A confirmation message popped up. A moment later, another notification followed. The pay hit my account instantly. $500. And just like that, I was in too deep. The video continued. Another strike. The crowbar arced through the air, colliding again with the man's body. His groan was faint, barely audible, but I felt it like a weight in my chest. The second masked figure finally moved. Reaching into their pocket, something metallic glinted in their hand. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't know what to type. Was this real? Was I complicit just by watching? The thoughts swarmed in my head, but the money was already in my account. The job was already done, and there were more videos waiting to be watched. Asterisk. Night after night, I logged in, I watched, I reported. Some streams showed nothing but dark hallways, grainy footage of abandoned buildings, empty rooms, flickering bulbs barely holding onto life. Static hissed through my headphones like a whispering ghost. Others were different. People tied to chairs, faces covered in fabric, some slumped over, unmoving, others shaking violently, their muffled screams barely making it through the poor audio quality of the stream. I watched as unseen figures loomed over them, observing, waiting, and then one of them spoke. "You're watching me, aren't you?" My hands froze on the keyboard. The voice was hoarse, trembling. The figure on the screen shifted, raising their head slightly. Their face was concealed, but I could see the rise and fall of their chest, the sheer desperation in the way their body quivered. They weren't speaking to someone in the room. They were speaking to me. "You get to decide if I live or die." I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering. A prompt appeared on the monitor. "Report unusual activity? Yes. No." I hesitated. For the first time, I felt like I had control over something, but the weight of it crushed me. I wasn't supposed to be involved. I was just supposed to watch, to type, to report. But now the line between watching and acting was blurring. I clicked yes. I sat there, staring at the blank display. What had I done? Seconds later, a new feed loaded. A different room, a different person, the same scenario. I wasn't just monitoring. I was part of something bigger, something worse. The next night, the process repeated, the same kinds of videos, the same silent, masked figures standing in the shadows, the same desperate, pleading eyes staring into the lens, hoping, praying, that whoever was on the other side was human enough to care. But there was something new. A name, my name, typed into the chat beside the feed. "Unknown, we see you." I yanked my hands back from the keyboard, my chair scraping against the wooden floor. My eyes darted around my dark room, as if expecting someone to be there. But I was alone. I turned back to the screen. The feed had changed again. This time, it wasn't a stranger tied to a chair. It was my apartment, live. Asterisk. One night, a new message appeared. "We see you." I clicked it. No sender, just a link. I hesitated. Then, I clicked. A new stream opened. A dark room, a single figure at a desk. A dim light swung from the ceiling, casting elongated shadows on the walls. Papers were scattered around, some torn, others covered in what looked like frantic scribbles. He turned. His face was pale, eyes wide with terror. Sweat dripped down his forehead. His hands trembled as they hovered over a keyboard, typing erratically. It was him, the man from the chair. He was free, and he was typing. "Do not watch this. Turn it off. Get out before it's too late." I leaned closer, my pulse hammering. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to respond, to ask what he meant, but I couldn't. A countdown appeared at the top of the screen. 5, 4, 3, 2. Then, a shadow moved behind him. A flicker, a barely perceptible shift in the darkness behind him. The light swayed, casting new shapes along the wall. And then, the shape solidified. A masked figure stepped into the light. He didn't see it at first. His eyes darted back and forth, scanning the screen, pleading for something, someone on the other end to respond. His breathing quickened, shallow gasps filling the speakers. Then, he must have sensed it. His typing stopped, his fingers stilled, his shoulders tensed. Slowly, as if he already knew what he would find, he turned his head. The masked figure loomed behind him. Close, too close. The man's lips parted, but no sound came out at first. Then, finally, a scream, a raw, desperate sound that made my skin crawl. The feed cut to black. My screen went dark. My fingers trembled on the mouse, hesitating to click, to refresh, to see if he was still there. But I didn't dare, because, deep down, I already knew the answer. Asterisk. My fingers hovered over the power button, ready to shut everything down. But before I could move, another message popped up. "You're doing good work, no questions." My breath caught in my throat. My hands turned clammy as I stared at the screen. They knew. I reached out to the only person I trusted. Adam, my tech-savvy friend. "I need help. They're watching me." Seconds passed. Then my phone buzzed. "Meet me, now." I grabbed my jacket, heart hammering against my ribs. My apartment felt too quiet, too still. The walls seemed to close in. I threw my laptop into my backpack and rushed out the door. The street was empty. No people, no cars, just the cold wind pressing against my skin. I walked fast, my breath puffing in the crisp air. Every shadow, every movement, felt like a threat. I glanced over my shoulder. Nothing, but the feeling didn't leave me. I reached the cafe where Adam said to meet. The neon sign flickered, buzzing faintly. He was already inside, sitting at a booth in the back, his hood pulled low over his face. He looked up as I approached, his expression tense. "Adam told to me that. You look like hell." I told him everything. The website, the streams, the messages, the warning. Adam's face darkened. He pulled out his laptop, his fingers flying over the keys. His brows furrowed as he searched. Adam said, "This isn't just some creepy website. This is deep. They're hiding behind layers of encryption. Whoever they are, they're professionals." I swallowed hard. My stomach churned. "So how do I get out?" I said. Adam didn't answer right away. His screen reflected in his glasses, lines of code flashing by. He froze. He turned the screen toward me. A new message had appeared in his command terminal. "We see you." Adam worked fast, erasing every trace of my digital presence. But it wasn't enough. Another message appeared. Too late. The lights flickered. The power cut out. The cafe plunged into darkness. Asterisk. Adam's face was grim. "You're being tracked," he said. "They won't let you just leave." I felt my stomach drop. The air in the cafe felt heavier, like the walls were closing in. My hands gripped the table as Adam continued typing furiously on his laptop. Lines of code scrolled across the screen, digital trails being erased, identities being scrubbed. "We have to burn everything. Your accounts, your phone, your identity. If you stay connected, they'll find you." Adam said that. I swallowed hard and nodded. There was no other choice. I packed my bags and left that night. No goodbyes, no explanations, just a train ticket to nowhere in the hope that I could disappear. Asterisk. For weeks, I kept my head down. I moved between small motels, paid in cash, never stayed in one place for too long. My world shrank down to shadows and paranoia. Every knock on the door sent my heart racing. Every glance from a stranger felt like a warning. I avoided public Wi-Fi. I used burner phones, swapping them every few days. I changed my clothes at thrift stores, never using my real name. I became a ghost, but no matter how far I ran, the feeling never left me. The weight of unseen eyes. The cold dread creeping up my spine when a car slowed down too long behind me. And then, one night, as I sat alone in a dingy motel room, my phone buzzed. I shouldn't have picked it up. I should have thrown it away immediately. But I didn't. The screen glowed in the darkness. A text message. "We know where you are." I froze. The motel was empty. I had paid in cash. I had covered my tracks. How? My pulse roared in my ears. I stood up, my body screaming at me to move, to run. My fingers clenched the edge of the bed. Another text came in. "Run." I threw the phone against the wall. The screen shattered, but the damage was done. They had found me. It didn't matter how careful I had been. I wasn't free. I never would be. Asterisk. Some jobs you can't quit. Some things you can't unsee. And some people never stop watching. Asterisk.